back to Behind the Caution Tape. I'm your host, CrashLit, and we are back with Monday Rundowns for Season 2 of the show. It's great to be back here doing this on the regular, going forward until the 2025-2026 season concludes. There will be Monday Rundowns every week for all things USC sports. So just like last year, now that we're fully back, and of course, I will continue to add interviews, and I'm trying to line up some exciting guests for y'all. So before we get into everything that's been going on in USC, just make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching it on just the audio, listening to just the audio, pardon me, be sure to give the podcast a follow or subscribe, and make sure to download every episode and go back and watch all the ones you haven't seen yet. So please make sure to support and be sure to follow me at CrashLit on social media everywhere. So without further ado, let's get into really, obviously things are just getting started, and really the only sport that has started is soccer. And so far soccer has had two preseason games prior to their season opener yesterday. So they were preseason ranked number 5. They got a 2-0 win at Long Beach State, and then no scores reported for when they hosted San Diego State last weekend in an exhibition. So those were the two exhibitions. I was at the Long Beach one on August 6th. So that's been pretty much what they've been up to. But before I get into their 4-0 win against Cal Baptist, I want to talk about just the opening of Rawlinson Stadium, because that was a really exciting thing to be a part of. Just getting to just go to it. And that was a big part of why I wanted to go to that game. Obviously, I mean, this team's been fun to watch. I mean, head coach Jane Alukonis has had this team doing really well. They've gotten progressively better, especially reaching the Elite Eight last year. But then especially now, after being off campus, getting to come back to campus and play in a brand new Rawlinson Stadium. So there was a ribbon cutting ceremony 2 hours prior to kickoff, and shout out to Woohoo Sue for letting me kind of come in and stay with her and and hang out with all the alums and boosters prior to it to watch and get a closer view, and especially see and be able to interact and talk with everyone. So it was really a great experience too. So yesterday, the public got to hear from Jen Cohen, the athletic director, soccer head coach Jane Alukonis, lacrosse head coach Lindsay Monday, as the lacrosse team will also be utilizing Rawlinson Stadium as their new home as well. Sophomore Jaden Anderson from the soccer team, senior Kate Garrity from the lacrosse team, interim president Byung-Soo Kim, and donor Rex Rawlinson, whose family contributed a lot of the funding for Rawlinson Stadium. So it was definitely a really just amazing event, just getting to hear from all these speakers and what they had to say about getting this project together and completed in 16 months, which is pretty impressive. So pretty record timing from what interim president Kim was saying. But obviously once I got in, like how it is, there's a new press box up top, and then there's along the south side of the stadium, that's where all the bleachers are, where the majority of fans sit. Then on the east side behind the east goal, there's a viewing deck lounge where you can stand and watch the game from there, which I thought was a really great view. And even though I didn't stay there for the game, it was really scenic. And honestly, you could just watch the whole game from there and really enjoy it. And then in addition to, it was sold out stadium, which I thought was amazing for opening of the stadium too. And then plus the LA Fire Department, since their station is right adjacent to the soccer field on the west side of it. They literally were watching from behind the west goal and just were watching from there. So that was cool to see them cheering on the Trojans as well. Now on to the game itself, actually, because once that game got going, it was all business for USC. So, and then in addition to, before I get into the game, actually, I did want to mention that Juju Watkins and a couple other women's basketball players were in attendance. And when Juju walked in, almost everyone flocked to her. So that was just really cool to just see her come and supporting this team, which I thought was a really cool event, especially because it's the first event of the 2025-26 school year, and really made it special to be a part of it. So now on to the game. The USC, as I said, was all business. got the first goal in the 22 goals in the first half, two in the second half. The first goal came in the 23rd minute, courtesy of Jaden Anderson via penalty kick. In the four and not 4 minutes later, In- Ines Darien scored again. And then in the 59th minute, Darien scored again, getting two goals. And then the 64th minute, Maribel Flores got the fourth and final goal for the Trojans on the night. And in the goal, Bella Grust had three saves. And because of her two goals, Ines Darien was named the woman of the match. So USC now moves to 1-0 on the season and is in a really exciting and has a pretty manageable slate going forward for most of the non-conference until they have face Stanford in their final non-conference game. But this upcoming week, they'll take on Pepperdine on Thursday at 7 p.m. and New Mexico State on Sunday at 2 p.m. Both those games will be shown on the Big Ten Plus. The Waves are 0-1-1 so far, and and the Aggies are 1-1 on the season. So these are pretty manageable matches for the Trojans, and they should be able to really take care of business in these upcoming games to really be able to solidify themselves and probably move up in the rankings because of how they have been performing, but of how they are likely going to do. And I think I can see them really entering as one of the top teams in the country as they head into conference play. Because looking at their non-conference slate, it's pretty manageable, as I said. They have Pepperdine, New Mexico State, Portland, and then they close it out with Stanford, which will be a big one on September 4th. I mean, it's even going to be shown on the Big Ten Network. So that'll be a big one there for the Trojans. But until then, they should be in a pretty manageable place, which I think sets them up well to really get some early momentum going into the season. And now on to a bit of news from football. Obviously, that's still about 2 weeks, just under two. It's 12 days away now until the season starts, but still a lot of news coming out, especially with all the preseason watch lists coming out. So I think it just makes for a good time to talk about that, especially because I do always like to talk about football every week, given that it is the thing that everyone is getting hyped up about. And obviously, I mean, if you haven't already yet, please go check out my interview with Petros Papadakis. It was definitely one that was really memorable in a lot of ways. And also just Petros really, I thought, really spoke to like the meaning of the USC Notre Dame rivalry, which I know is kind of a topic this summer, especially when Lincoln Riley brought it up at Big Ten Media Days. So I think just hearing from Petros on it, what I thought was really insightful, especially with how much he just talks about just how deep USC has like deep his USC ties are from when his dad played there, and just also just how he's talked about just what it meant to him growing up. But on to USC. So USC's had a lot of players named to preseason watch lists. So we'll go run through those right now. Start with Eric Gentry being named to the Butkus Award watch list for the nation's top linebacker. Anthony Beavers Jr. was named to the All-State Werfel Trophy watch list, which is the premier award for community service. Kicker Caden Chittenden was named to the Lou Groza Award for the top place kicker. All running backs Brian Jackson, Wayman Jordan, Eli Sanders named to the Doak Walker Award watch list for most outstanding running back. Receiver Makai Lemon was named to the Bolitnikoff Award for most outstanding receiver. Lake McCree was named to the John McKay Award watch list that honors the best tight end in college football. Safety Kamari Ramsey was named to the Chuck Bednarik watch list, which highlights goes to the top defensive player in college football. And USC had four players with Kai Lemon, Jane Mayava, Olani Noah, and Justin Taunu named to the Polynesian College Football Player of the Year award watch list. So I think this shows just a lot of the potential that this team has, especially considering they're making all these watch lists. But that said, obviously, I think it's great that they're making it, but really, it comes out to going and executing on the field. And that's why, even though USC isn't ranked to start the season, I think that actually is a good thing because it doesn't put a ton of pressure on the team right at the start, but it also, will motivate them to go out and deliver and prove that and just leave a statement and say, we belong. And really, the first game of the year, really the first two, are really statements to do that, especially when you got Missouri State, who is new to the FBS. They are no longer FCS. So for all you FBS traditionalists at USC, don't worry, that streak is not ending. I think it's a little crazy, especially in this era of where the sport has gone, but I'm not going to try to change your minds. I'm just going to say I think you all are crazy. That said, don't worry, it's not going to end. So USC will open against Missouri State on August 30th at 4:30 on the Big Ten Network. So I think that game, especially with Missouri State, it's really going to be their welcome to the FBS, welcome to the top of college football. So I think that's a big opportunity for USC to really go out and show who they are. And then same with the following game, the following week on September 6th against Georgia Southern, when the Trojans will welcome former head coach Clay Helton back to the Coliseum. So that's another one I think USC can really take advantage of to talk about. So obviously, his first games are coming up. I'll talk more, obviously, on my thoughts next week with what I think this team can be, especially with everything gearing up. But that's really kind of my big thoughts on football for this week. So I'll talk a little bit about the other sports that are starting up soon for the fall. So women's volleyball is set to have their season kickoff on August 29th against Denver at home at 7 p.m. on the Big Ten Plus. So their preseason pick was 6th in the 10th and ranked 21st nationally. And for my thoughts on Big Ten Media Day that I talked about last month, another episode y'all should check out, especially because I got to sit down with head coach Brad Keller and players and redshirt junior Adanya Famuina and redshirt sophomore Leah Ford. It was really insightful to get some know kind of what to look for in this team this year. So they now obviously have a better feel for what Big Ten play is going to look like, according to Keller, Famuina, and Ford. And then also, this team has a lot of potential to be good, but we'll have to fill big shoes in losing both Mia Tuaniga and Allie Batenhorst. But also, according to Famuina, those freshmen have been buying in. And then really the biggest thing that stood out to me from that I think that's really I'm guessing, gonna try to drive this team this year, that Keller said to me was, and I quote, "If we're not competing for national championships, then it's a failure." Basically meaning it's championship or bust is his mentality. I think that's a great mentality to have for this team that's been getting better, but been struggling. That's been good, but has been struggling to get past into the Sweet 16 each year. So that's kind of this next step for this team. So I think that's really what it's going to take for them. So finally, we'll talk a little bit about the other sports happening. Men's water polo starts on August 29th when they go to the Triton Invitational. They'll take on UC San Diego on Friday on the 29th, and then George Washington and UC Santa Barbara on the 30th, and then close out against San Jose State on the 31st. In addition, head coach Marco Pinarich and goalie Bernardo Herzer are at the first ever MPSF Water Polo Media Days out in Costa Mesa. If I'd known about that, I would have tried to see if I could have got myself into that. But that's pretty much there. I'll talk more in depth about them next week once we know what's going on, once that gets a little closer. Then finally, cross country starts up on the 29th as well when they take part in the Pepperdine Waves Invitational. So out in Malibu, and that'll be on August 29th with a 5:15 start. So that's pretty much everything that's coming up. I'll talk more in depth about everything going forward. So that's pretty much where we're at. So to close out, so starting the school year off 1-0. Yes, I'm keeping the record going. So we're starting this year off 1-0, baby. And that puts me now at 312 and 119 all time. So that's pretty much there. And I will be out of town next week, so I unfortunately won't make it to either of the soccer games. I do plan to watch as much as I can based on my schedule and where I'm at. But most likely, and I'll obviously confirm this next week, my next event will be the soccer game against Portland on August 28th. So that'll be coming up in a couple weeks. And for those of you who are wondering what I'll be at, obviously how it's going to work is I will talk about what I plan to go to each week on these Monday rundowns on Behind the Caution Tape. But also, if you're wondering, if I'm going to be at something the day of, I will always, if I'm going to a game, I will always repost the game day graphic that each team puts out on its Instagram the morning of. So if I'm going to that game, I will repost that on my Instagram story. So be sure to follow me at CrashLit on Instagram so that way you know what games I'll be at. So that's how you can keep up with that. So that's going to do it for us here on Behind the Caution Tape. It is so great to be back doing these Monday rundowns. I can't wait to be doing these all year again. It's going to be a great school year for USC. I'm super excited. Can't wait to see y'all at a game. Be sure to, if you ever have any questions about anything, just be sure to reach out. I'll do my best to answer them. I'll see y'all next week and fight on.